Athens. It is a city where the echoes of 3,000 years of history meet the vibrant energy of a modern European capital. Often called the cradle of Western civilization, this is a place that feels like an open-air museum, yet pulses with a life that is very much in the present. In 2026, Athens has transformed into a destination that perfectly balances its ancient soul with a fresh, contemporary spirit. From the sun-drenched marble of its legendary temples to the narrow, flower-lined streets of its oldest neighborhoods, there is a story waiting at every corner. Whether you are standing in the shadow of the mighty Acropolis or sipping a strong Greek coffee in a hidden courtyard, you can feel the layers of time beneath your feet. The city is home to some of the most significant archaeological sites in the entire world, but it is also a place of incredible food, rooftop views that take your breath away, and a culture that celebrates the joy of living. In this guide, we are diving deep into the heart of the city. We will explore the iconic landmarks that have stood the test of time and discover the local spots that make this city so unique. There is so much to see, from the ruins of ancient marketplaces to the hilltop views where you can watch the sunset over the Saronic Gulf. Rising high above the city on a rocky outcrop, this ancient citadel remains the ultimate symbol of Greek achievement. It is a place where the brilliance of classical architecture reaches its peak. As you walk up the marble steps of the Propylaea, the grand entrance, you can feel the immense scale of what was built here over 2,400 years ago. The crown jewel of this site is the Parthenon, dedicated to the goddess Athena. This temple is a masterpiece of geometry and engineering. Even after centuries of history, its massive columns and perfect proportions continue to leave visitors in awe. Every block of Pentelic marble tells a story of craftsmanship and devotion. Nearby stands the Erechtheion, famous for the Porch of the Maidens. 6 elegant stone figures, known as caryatids, support the roof with a grace that seems to defy the weight of the stone. Looking out from the edge of the sacred rock, the entire city of Athens unfolds below you, stretching all the way to the distant blue horizon of the sea. The air up here feels different. It is a space where the ancient world feels close enough to touch. Walking across these stones, you are following in the footsteps of philosophers, artists, and leaders who shaped the course of history. Nestled right at the base of the Acropolis, this is the oldest neighborhood in the city. Often referred to as the neighborhood of the gods, walking through these streets feels like stepping back into a different era. The motorized noise of the modern city fades away, replaced by the sound of footsteps on cobblestones and the distant melody of a street performer's guitar. The narrow, winding alleys are lined with pastel-colored houses, their balconies overflowing with bright pink bougainvillea. Everywhere you look, there is a sense of charm and nostalgia. You will find tiny shops selling handcrafted jewelry, traditional ceramics, and bottles of local olive oil. The scent of fresh oregano and grilled meats drifts from the many family-owned tavernas that have occupied these corners for generations. One of the most magical parts of this area is Anafiotica. This tiny cluster of whitewashed houses was built by workers from the island of Anafi, and it looks exactly like a hidden Greek island village tucked away in the heart of the capital. With its steep paths and sleepy cats lounging in the sun, it offers a peaceful escape from the bustling crowds. As the sun begins to set, the area takes on a warm, golden glow. The outdoor cafe tables fill up with people enjoying a glass of wine or a cold frappe, soaking in the timeless atmosphere. If you want to feel the true heartbeat of the city, this is the place to be. It is a vibrant crossroads where history, commerce, and daily life collide in a beautiful, organized chaos. Standing in the center of the square, you are surrounded by the many layers of the Athenian past. To one side, you can see the elegant dome of the Monastiraki Mosque, built in 1759, and just across from it, the small but beautiful Panathenaic Church, which dates back to the 10th century. The square is always buzzing with energy. Street performers fill the air with music, while local vendors sell fresh fruit and roasted nuts from traditional wooden carts. It is a sensory experience like no other, with the smell of sizzling souvlaki and the sound of hundreds of people moving through the city. Just a few steps away, you will find the entrance to the famous Monastiraki flea market. While it is active every day, it truly comes alive on Sundays when the narrow streets transform into a massive bazaar. You can spend hours wandering through the maze of shops, searching for vintage treasures, rare books, and antique furniture. It is a paradise for those who love to hunt for unique finds and hidden gems. For a moment of quiet away from the crowd, look up. This sprawling green space was once the true heart of public life in ancient times. It was not just a marketplace, but a center for politics, justice, and philosophy. This is the very ground where great thinkers like Socrates and Plato walked, debated, and challenged the ideas of their world. As you wander through the ruins today, you can almost hear the echoes of the crowded assemblies and the lively discussions that laid the foundations of democracy. The most impressive structure remaining here is the Temple of Hephaestus. Built in the 5th century before the Common Era, it is one of the best preserved ancient Greek temples in existence. Its sturdy Doric columns have survived for over 2,400 years, standing as a testament to the incredible skill of ancient builders. Unlike many other ruins, this temple still has its roof and much of its original structure, allowing you to truly visualize its former glory. On the other side of the grounds, you will find the Stoa of Atticus. This long, covered walkway was originally built in the 2nd century before the Common Era and was meticulously reconstructed in the 1950s. Today, it houses a museum filled with artifacts found on the site, from everyday pottery to the ancient bronze ballots used by citizens to vote. Just a short walk from the older Greek marketplace, this site served as the primary commercial center during the period of Roman rule. Entering through the Gate of Athena Archaeological, which was built in the year 11 before the Common Era, you immediately notice the different architectural style and the shift in the city's history. This was a place of trade and business, funded by the leaders of the Roman Empire to create a more organized space for the growing population. The most fascinating structure standing here today is the Tower of the Winds. This octagonal marble building is considered by many to be the first weather station in the world. It was built around 50 years before the Common Era by a Greek astronomer. On each of its 8 sides, you can see beautifully carved figures representing the 8 wind deities, showing exactly which direction the breeze was blowing. In its prime, it contained a complex water clock and several sundials, making it a technological marvel of the ancient world. Throughout the site, rows of slender columns mark where the ancient shops and storerooms used to be. You can still see the remains of the public latrines and the foundations of a grand mosque that was added centuries later, illustrating how this specific plot of land has served many different cultures and religions over 2,000 years. In the middle of the modern city, a group of massive marble columns stands as a reminder of one of the most ambitious building projects of the ancient world. This temple was once the largest in all of Greece, dedicated to the king of the gods. Its construction began in the 6th century before the Common Era, but it was so vast and expansive that it took more than 600 years to finally complete. It was eventually finished in the year 131 by the Roman Emperor Hadrian. When it was whole, the temple featured over 100 enormous Corinthian columns, each standing over 50 feet tall. Today, only 15 of these giants remain standing, with the 16th column lying on the ground where it fell during a storm in the year 1852. Even in its ruined state, the sheer scale of the pillars is overwhelming. Standing at their base and looking up, you can truly appreciate the power and wealth that was required to lift such heavy stone into the sky. Just outside the temple grounds, you will see the Arch of Hadrian. This impressive marble gateway was built to celebrate the arrival of the emperor and to mark the boundary between the old city of Athens and the new Roman part of the city. One side of the arch bears an inscription that claims the city belongs to Theseus, while the other side claims it belongs to Hadrian. This is the only stadium in the entire world built completely out of shimmering white marble. Known to the locals as Kali Marmaro, which literally means beautiful marble, it is a place where the ancient spirit of competition meets the modern world. Long before the lights of modern sports arenas existed, this site was the home of the Panathenaic Games, which were held every 4 years to honor the goddess Athena. The stadium we see today is a faithful reconstruction of the grand arena built by the Roman senator Herodes Atticus in the year 144. It has a unique horseshoe shape that was popular in ancient times, and its steep marble tiers can hold over 40,000 people. When you stand on the track and look up at the rows of white stone rising against the blue sky, the scale of the achievement is truly breathtaking. The most famous moment in the history of this site occurred in 1896, when it hosted the opening and closing ceremonies of the very first modern Olympic Games. It was here that the Olympic anthem was heard for the first time, and where the world came together to revive an ancient tradition. More recently, it was used during the Athens 2004 Olympics and continues to serve as the finish line for the grueling and historic Athens Marathon every November. This is the central nervous system of the city and the most important public space in all of Greece. Known as Constitution Square, it is where history is made and where the daily life of the city unfolds. Dominated by the grand old royal palace, which has housed a Greek parliament since 1934, the square is a place of constant movement, grand architecture, and powerful traditions. The main attraction here is the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, a monument dedicated to those who died in service of the country. Standing guard in front of the tomb are the Evzons, the elite members of the Presidential Guard. They are famous for their traditional uniform, which includes a pleated kilt called a fustanella and shoes with large black pom-poms. Every hour, on the hour, a crowd gathers to watch the changing of the guard ceremony. It is a highly choreographed display of slow-motion movements and precision that is deeply respected by every Greek citizen. If you are lucky enough to be here on a Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, you can witness the grand change of the guard, featuring the full military band and hundreds of soldiers in their official dress uniforms. It is a spectacle of national pride that stops traffic and fills the air with music. Beyond the ceremony, the square is a gateway to everything the city has to offer. Located right in the center of the city, just behind the Parliament building, this lush green oasis offers a welcome escape from the heat and urban noise. Spanning over 38 acres, it was originally created in the 1830s as a private garden for the first queen of Greece. Today, it is a public park where locals and visitors come to walk under the shade of hundreds of different species of trees and plants from all over the world. As you wander through the winding gravel paths, you will discover hidden ponds filled with ducks and turtles, as well as a small zoo and a botanical museum. The garden is also home to several marble statues of famous Greek poets and politicians, tucked away among the tall palm trees and thick ivy. It is a place where nature and history blend perfectly, with ancient ruins and mosaic floors still visible in certain corners of the park. One of the most famous sites within the grounds is the Zappeion Hall, an elegant 19th century building used for official ceremonies and exhibitions. Its grand semicircular shape and yellow walls are a beautiful example of neoclassical architecture. Surrounding it are wide open spaces and colorful flower beds that look especially beautiful in the spring when the orange trees are in full bloom and the air is filled with their sweet scent. For the most spectacular view in the entire city, you have to make your way to the top of this limestone peak. Rising nearly 1,000 feet above sea level, it is the highest point in the capital and offers a 360-degree panorama that is simply unmatched. From up here, the vast sprawl of the city looks like a white sea of buildings, stretching all the way from the mountains in the north to the sparkling waters of the Saronic Gulf in the south. There are two ways to reach the summit. You can take a leisurely but steep walk up the winding paths through the pine trees, which is a great way to build up an appetite. Alternatively, you can hop on the funicular railway, a cable car that travels through a tunnel inside the mountain, whisking you to the top in just a few minutes. Once you reach the peak, you will find the tiny whitewashed chapel of St. George. This charming church, built in the 19th century, sits at the very edge of the cliff and looks like something straight out of a Greek island. Right next to it is a viewing platform where you can stand and pick out all the major landmarks you have visited, from the Acropolis to the Panathenaic Stadium. Located on the southwest slope of the Acropolis, this stunning stone theater is one of the most iconic performance spaces in the world. It was built in the year 161 by a wealthy Roman citizen named Herodes Atticus, who constructed it in memory of his beloved wife. With its massive three-story facade made of stone arches, it is a masterpiece of Roman engineering that was designed to host musical concerts for the people of the city. The theater is built in the traditional semicircular shape and can hold nearly 5,000 people. For centuries, the roof, which was made of expensive cedar wood from Lebanon, made this one of the finest indoor venues of ancient times. Although the roof is now gone, the theater remains an architectural marvel. The rows of white marble seating rise steeply against the hillside, creating an intimate atmosphere despite its grand scale. What makes this place truly special is that it is still very much alive today. After being carefully restored in the 1950s, it became the main stage for the Athens and Epidaurus festival. Every summer, the world's greatest opera singers, orchestras, and dancers perform under the stars, just as artists did nearly 2,000 years ago. Often overlooked by the main tourist crowds, this area serves as one of the most significant and moving historical sites in the city. Located at the edge of the ancient city walls, it was originally the potter's quarter, which is where the word ceramics comes from. Over time, it evolved into the most important cemetery of ancient Athens. Walking through these grounds today is a journey through the private lives and memories of the people who once called this city home. As you wander along the path of the tombs, you will see beautifully carved marble monuments and headstones that date back thousands of years. Many of these statues, like the famous bull or the touching scenes of families saying goodbye, are incredibly well preserved. These stones were meant to ensure that the names and stories of the departed were never forgotten, and standing before them today, that mission feels just as powerful as it did in ancient times. The site is also home to the Dipylon Gate and the Sacred Gate, which were the main entrances to the city. This was the starting point for the great processions that traveled all the way to the Acropolis. You can still see the deep ruts in the stone made by the wheels of ancient chariots. A small stream called the Eridanos still flows through the site, surrounded by tall grass and wildflowers, creating a quiet and natural atmosphere that feels worlds away from the busy streets of the modern city. Running from the heart of the city all the way to the ancient site of the Potter's Quarter, this is the main commercial artery of the capital. Named after Hermes, the Greek god of trade and travel, it is one of the busiest and most popular pedestrian streets in all of Europe. On any given afternoon, the air is filled with the sound of music from street performers, the chatter of crowds, and the enticing aromas of street food and roasted chestnuts. The upper part of the street is a paradise for shoppers. It is lined with famous international brands and elegant boutiques, housed in beautiful buildings that combine modern glass with classic stone architecture. Here, the energy is high and the movement is constant. As you walk down the smooth marble pavement, you can feel the cosmopolitan spirit that defines the modern side of the city. In the middle of this modern shopping hub, you will come across a striking contrast. Nestled right in the center of the street is the tiny church of Panagia Kapnikaria. Built in the 11th century, this beautiful Byzantine structure sits lower than the modern street level, acting as a quiet island of history in a sea of fashion and commerce. It is a perfect example of how the city preserves its ancient past, even in the middle of its most bustling areas. Directly across from the Acropolis sits this lush, pine-covered hill, which offers some of the most peaceful walking paths in the city. Also known as the Hill of the Muses, it has been a place of inspiration for poets and thinkers for thousands of years. As you hike up the stone-paved trails, the noise of the city traffic disappears, replaced by the scent of wild herbs and the gentle swaying of the olive trees. At the very summit stands the monument of Philopappos, built in the year 114 to honor a Roman prince who was a great benefactor to the city. The towering marble structure stands as a silent guardian overlooking the landscape. From this height, you have a direct eye-level view of the Parthenon that is so clear it feels like you could reach out and touch it. It is widely considered the best spot in the city to take photographs of the ancient citadel without the massive crowds. As you explore the hillside, you will find several other fascinating landmarks hidden among the trees. One of these is a rock-cut structure traditionally known as the Prison of Socrates. While historians debate its true purpose, it remains a hauntingly beautiful spot that sparks the imagination.